Hi folks, welcome to the virtual Fryeburg Fair 2020. I'm Erlon Jones at the Agricultural Exhibition Center and very pleased to have you here. One thing we wanted to show you this week was how to make beanhole beans. And a lot of you might think, what are beanhole beans? And basically they're just baked beans cooked underground. These were made very popular in the 1700s, 1800s with the logging camps. The baked beans would be made, prepared, and baked underground for overnight and through the next day. And then logging shifts that came down the river would come down and be able to eat and cook beans for the next shift coming down the river. And it's very popular. They'd make some things to go with it, which we'll be doing later. But we wanted to show you how we did it here at Fryeburg Fair. So this year we're going to have some baked beans with some flavor. And to start out with, we have our bean hole. Now, we got a little fire going here in the bean hole. And a bean hole is basically, you dig a hole in the ground, it with rock, because the goal is we want to build a fire and keep some heat in it. What I advise is use solid rocks such as river rock. Don't use anything porous like granite or limestone. That tends to get hot powder and when it gets hot. So what you do is we dug a hole. We lined it with some rocks. I got some rocks from my home up in Chatham. And so we've done that with this hole here. And so we have that and the pot of beans cooking. I've had the beans soaking overnight. And you can see we've got some nice red kidney beans in there that we're going to be cooking today in this black cast iron pot, shipped all the way from South Africa. This has been a favorite every year here at Fryeburg Fair. And so we have the beans in the pot. What I've been doing is, the goal is we're cooking the beans underground, and I'm going to show you how that's done. What we had to do was start with a nice hot fire. So what I've been doing the past 3 to 4 hours is burning a hot fire with some nice hardwood, some nice red oak, because we want to burn it down, get it hot, and get some really nice hot coals on there to bake our beans on. So that's what this has been burnt afternoon. We got it just down to coals. And I'm going to show you next how to mix up the ingredients for the baked beans. All right, we've got our ingredients here ready for the beanhole beans. There's no special recipe. Basically, it's any kind of baked bean recipe you want to use. Only difference is it gets cooked underground. So we have some of our basic items we're going to use. We have brown sugar, molasses, salt, black pepper, dry mustard, and some minced onions. You can use those or chopped onions, whatever you like. And we have some bacon. Now, traditionally, a baked bean recipe uses salt pork. I use bacon, which is basically the same thing. That way you can eat it along with the baked beans. You don't have to take the chunk of salt pork out. So I'm going to add those into our beans, which have been soaking overnight. And I took the lid off the pot, so we'll put the bacon in. And we'll put some brown sugar in, put plenty of, these are 2-pound packages. And we're going to dump those right in there.
How many pounds of beans will this make?
Right now we're just making 10 pounds of beans. If this pot was full, it'd take 30 pounds of dry beans. And so what we do is we just cut our recipe. And like I say, use any recipe you want. I'm just putting some things in here that we traditionally use. One of the old timers once told me to throw an apple in there when I do the beanhole beans. I don't know why he did that. We tried it a couple times. I didn't really notice much of a flavor, but it was a lot of fun to do that. And we'll put some salt in, plenty of salt. That way we'll get our daily dose of iodine. And the last ingredient we'll put in some molasses. Probably just maybe a quarter molasses will be good for 10 pounds. I won't put this whole jug in here, but we'll dump that in there as our last ingredient. And I will stir that up, and the beans will be all ready to go in the ground here. So we'll be all ready to go. You can see those getting mixed up with the water that they've been soaking in. And I always use the water that you soak the beans in. That way it retains the vitamins and minerals. And I'll put the top on that. And then your beanhole beans are ready to go in the hole. And I'll show you how to do that next. We're all ready for our bean pot to lower it in the bean hole. Got some nice good hot coals in there. And so we're going to use this pick pole, which is basically a piece of hornbeam tree that's really difficult to break. And we had our blacksmiths at Fryeburg Fair make a chain and a hook for the middle of it. So what we'll do is we'll use that. That'll give us some leverage to lower the pot down into the hole, which is pretty hot right now. So we'll see how we do here.
How long do you soak the beans for?
The beans are soaked overnight. I started these at 8 o'clock last night. And there. All right, and we just lower the pot in there like that, and we'll straighten it out. All right.
Action.
All right, we got the bean pot down in the hole. It's resting nicely on the coals, and I'm just going to take a shovel and bank up the pot to give it some little extra heat, and do that. Get the coals right up near it. Really hot in there, and you can use either crockery pots or metal pots. I use this metal one, and do that. You can use different size pots if you want. Make a small bean hole at home or whatever. So I'm gonna let this sit here just a few minutes just to really get up to temperature, and then I'll show you how to bury it and seal it for the night. What we do is we now have the bean pot down in the hole. I put some metal pipes over it, and what we're gonna do is just cover it with some steel roofing, and we're gonna put an inch or two of dirt over that. And what that is going to do is that's going to seal that in. It's going to make a nice 250-degree oven that's going to go overnight. Right now the beans are boiling. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the steel roofing and the dirt over it right now. And that'll keep it up there and keep it cooking all night. So just take your pieces of steel and we'll just lay it right on the top. And you can use any type of old steel you can find. And we'll put one more over there to completely cover it. All right, and now we'll cover that up with some dirt. Right now, and what we'll do, the goal is to seal off all the air and give it a little bit of insulation. So I'll start shoveling that and we'll cover it right up for the night. Right now I spread an inch or two of sand loam over it, and what that's going to do is it's going to seal off all the air going into the bean hole. It's going to turn into a nice 250-degree oven. All right, we're back at the virtual Fryeburg Fair, and right now we're in the middle of making bean hole beans. We let our brown bread, steamed brown bread, cook for 3 hours. That great recipe we just did. So let's take it out of the kettle. We shut the burner off and got a little bit of steam, so I'm going to use my pot holders. So we're going to lift that little dandy out of there. That way you don't burn yourself and everything. Let's see what it looks like. Take the string off. And the foil, be careful you don't burn yourself with the steam. And it cooked up to that. The steam over the course of 3 hours has actually baked this right in the metal tin. So what you can do is take a little knife, you run it just to kind of loosen it up around the edges. And hopefully you can pop it right out. And be careful not to burn yourself, that's really hot. And then you have a steamed brown bread. And you can use it anytime. You can use the coffee can, and it will have a scallop shape if you use the specialty mold. Steam it upside down like that. So we're going to have that, enjoy that with our bean hole dinner that we're going to be taking out of the ground in just a few minutes. All right, we're back at the out to the bean hole right now that's covered with sand. And right now we're going to take a shovel, take all the sand off, and then we're going to lift up the steel roofing, and we're going to see what happened during the night. So we'll take the sand off right now. Got the sand off the bean hole, so now we're going to take the steel roofing off, and we've got a pair of gloves on. Keep it safe. And we can see the bean pot is still there. Thankfully, didn't go anywhere during the night. And we'll pull that right off there. All right. And as you can see, we have the bean pot in there, and it's ended up cooking overnight. So I'm going to take a couple of those pipes off, and then we're going to take it right out of the hole, and we'll see what we have. All right, now we're going to lift the bean pot out, and we'll weighs about probably, I don't know, probably 60, 70 pounds. Got it filled right up there. And I'll set it down. All right. And we'll see what the baked beans look like after cooking for about 20 hours in the ground. Oh, look at that. They're still hot. And that's what they look like. So we're going to take these over to the table and try them out and see what they taste like. Okay, we just finished taking our whole beans out of the ground, and now we're ready to eat them. I just want to thank you folks again for being with us here at the virtual Fryeburg Fair 2020. We have a beautiful table set here today. We have our brown bread we just made, along with some butter. We also have a summer slaw, like a coleslaw, that's traditionally served with the whole beans. And we have our whole beans that we have it here in a nice Salmon Falls crockery pot from Dover, New Hampshire. And we also have some, you can either have ham, or we got some nice red, Maine red hot dogs here that we'll be serving with that. So we'll be having a nice group eating here tonight. Good food, good times, like we always do here at Fryeburg Fair.